too late. Gaslighting, propaganda. Not anymore. Yeah, insulated from the goyim. Oh, it sucks for you. And the noticing. Wow, little did I know when I recorded that song 30 years ago how it would apply to today's current situation. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It's Friday the 13th, 2026. Yeah, oh my, I wonder how many people are going to have some bad luck today. I don't know. Maybe we're going to see some good luck. I don't know. But anyway, welcome, campers, to the WTF Reports. I'm your host, Dave vonKleist. I'm here with the audio receipts, with the facts. And if those facts make you exclaim WTF, well, then so be it. Anyway, if you've been enjoying this broadcast and you're sharing it with your friends and they're enjoying it, I would ask humbly that you visit our website, TheWTFReports.com. And then the pop-up comes right up there for the Wave Watch, which is one of our sponsors here. And if you haven't checked it out, please do so. It is Rife technology, a Rife machine based on Tesla technology that you wear on your wrist. And it you could have some benefits. I'm not here to say it's going to cure or treat anything, but it definitely has helped me in a couple ways. And I've loaned it out to a couple of people, and they came back and said, "Hey, this thing actually, this is a good thing." And I said, "Yeah, I know." So anyway, check it out. Check out the Wave Watch. I think you'll be glad that you did. Okay, there is so much fallout going on right now over what happened at the congressional hearings with Pam Bondi. And I want to get into that a little bit. And then I have some rather disturbing information, people connecting the dots. And you may not want to hear it, but I tell you, if you're not willing to face a problem, then the problem will never get solved. And it's some very deep, dark, sick stuff. And we have to have the courage to face it. We have to stare the beast right in the eyes. Stare him down. Anyway, okay, so where do I start? Let's start with Harrison Smith. Harrison Smith works for InfoWars. And not that I hang my hat on everything that InfoWars puts out. I mean, I go way back with Alex Jones. Yes, I know Alex. And yes, Alex knows me too. We do have a bit of a history. But anyway, well, here's Harrison Smith bringing up some very important points that everybody is running with all over the world right now. Yeah, this testimony that Pam Bondi gave has set off a firestorm. Wait till you hear this. Listen.
The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about making Americans safe. We should be talking about, what does a Dow have to do with anything? That's what they just asked. Are you kidding?
Mr. Jordan, Mr. Jordan.
Committee will be in order.
Mr. Jordan, am I going to get an extra 45 seconds added to my time?
The committee will be in order. The time belongs to the gentleman from Texas, Miss.
Okay, listen up.
She kind of pulled a Age Skrillex there. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? What does the Dow Jones have to do with Jeffrey Epstein and his co-conspirators? Probably more than you'd like to think. Again, she's asked about Jeffrey Epstein. What's going on with that? Are you going to indict any of the co-conspirators that are revealed in these documents? And her answer is, guys, the Dow Jones is at 50,000. Now, that seems crazy. That seems off the wall. It's why people are laughing, why she's freaking out. But let's just put this in like familial context.
Okay, listen up. This is a good analogy. This is, I think he put the puzzle pieces in a very interesting, put them together in an interesting way. Listen to this.
Okay, this is, the wife going to the husband and going, what are you going to do about our daughter being raped? Our daughter was raped. What are you going to do about it? And the husband being like, look, I'm not worried about that. I'm making so much money right now. My job is so good. I make so much money. Now, that conversation would make no sense until you realize the daughter was raped by the boss. Then it all comes full circle. Then you understand, oh, okay. See, the Dow Jones being this high is because the people that were associated with Jeffrey Epstein haven't been threatened with arrest, and so they haven't crashed the market in response yet. See, I think that might be what she's saying. I don't know if that's how she meant it. That's how it came across to me, is you want us to go after these Jeffrey Epstein people? Do you want to lose your retirement accounts to do it? Are you willing to crash the world economy and drive us into total depression to do that? Because that's what's going to happen, because the people in the Epstein files are the most wealthy and powerful people in our country. So if they go down, guess what they take with them?
Yeah, okay, that's a good point. And that was echoed by a comment by Speaker of the House Mike Johnson when he basically said, and I have to paraphrase, I don't have the quote here, but he basically said, that this could bring the entire system down. It could be a threat to national security or something like that. And that may be true. That could very well be true when you look at it that way. Now, Nancy Mace had her own take on this, and here's what she had to say about this. And we're going to put some puzzle pieces together. Real interesting. Listen up.
How high the stock market was doing. It's shameful. And the other thing I saw on photos, I'm not on Judiciary, so I wasn't in the hearing, but in the Judiciary Committee, she had her folder open, and you saw an image of a search history of a member of Congress in the software, in the database. Why is the DOJ, why is the Attorney General carrying around a folder of the search histories of members of Congress who only simply want the truth?
Okay, I'm going to pause it for a second now that Nancy Mace is referring to a photograph that was taken while Pam Bondi was testifying, and she opened up a folder, and on one of the pages was a profile of Representative Jayapal, and that was very interesting. I'll let her continue.
She should answer for that. And I think she should come before the Oversight Committee, because I have a lot of tough questions for her.
Okay, so the point is that, there are some people saying, wait a second, how and why did she have a folder of certain representatives and when she was there to testify? What would that have to do with it? Okay, let's see. There's another one here. Where is it? Okay, here it is. Okay, now this is a slant we may want to pay attention to. All right, let me see. That wasn't it. Well, where the heck did it go? Let me check it on this computer here. I got two computers here with all these different tabs up here, but there is one particular take on this that I think is really, really interesting. Really interesting. Let's see, where is it? Oh, gosh, I hate when that happens. Okay, here it is. Listen to this. Okay, Mr. Poole, who posts on X and several other platforms, this is his take on this. I'm going to read what he wrote here. Now, listen to this. He writes, Pam Bondi just played the greatest trap in political history. What? And Congress walked right into it. Now, listen to this. Yesterday, of course, this was Wednesday, Attorney General Pam Bondi sat before the House Judiciary Committee, the standard oversight hearing, routine questions. Then she pulled out a document, and that was the folder I was just talking about. It was labeled Jayapal Pramila, search history. The room went silent, and here's what happened. Now, if you're following the bouncing ball, you can put these puzzle pieces together. Now, this may be 5D chess. I don't know, but it sure is an interesting take. Listen to this. The DOJ gave Congress access to the unredacted Epstein files this week. Yeah, you remember that? Okay, they released the 3.5 million files a week or so ago. And then on Monday, they opened up the unredacted files to members of Congress to go in. Every member had to got their own login. That's important. Their own computer. That's important. And their own session. What Congress didn't know is that the DOJ was tracking every single search. Why would they do that? Every name they looked up, every document they opened, every file that they downloaded, all of it was logged. And Bondi brought the receipts to the hearing. It says here the panic was instant because Representative Jayapal called it, quote, spying on members of Congress, unquote. Representative Jamie Raskin accused Bondi of, quote, blatant abuse of power. And Representative Moskowitz said it was, quote, suspicious and inappropriate. They're furious. But here's the question nobody in the media is asking. Why are they so scared of the search history? If you're searching for evidence of crimes against children, you'd be proud of that search history. Unless you're not searching for evidence, you're searching for your own name. Ooh, this is the genius of the trap. Think about it. Bondi didn't just release the files. She released them on monitored computers. Every member of Congress who rushed to search the files just told the Department of Justice exactly who they're trying to protect, what names they're worried about, and which connections they're trying to verify. The ones searching for, quote, flights to the island is investigators. The ones searching for specific names are protectors. Bondi now knows who's investigating and who's covering up. And she showed them that she knows in front of the cameras with a smile. Now, you put that together with the Department of Homeland Security shutdown, they call it perfect timing. Because while Congress panics about their search history, the DHS is shutting down tomorrow. Democrats are blocking the funding bill. The House members already left Washington. The same week, Congress gets caught searching Epstein files. They refuse to fund the department that investigates trafficking. They're not defunding DHS to save money. They're defunding it to stop investigations. So connect the dots. It gets interesting. Monday, Congress gets Epstein file access. Tuesday, members frantically search for names. Wednesday, Bondi reveals that she tracked everything. Thursday, the Democrats block the DHS funding. And today, the government shutdown begins. In 5 days, there's one pattern. It's called panic. They walked into the hearing thinking they were in control. They walked out knowing that Bondi has everything. Every search, every name, every cover-up attempt. They were all logged, documented, and weaponized. The hunter became the hunted, and they did it to themselves. Isn't that an interesting take on this? Yeah, I think it is. Is this a 5D chess move? I don't know. But the entire world has been watching these hearings, and yes, the overwhelming majority of the people that have seen this are appalled with the way Pam Bondi handled herself. And yeah, I'm still scratching my head on this whole thing. Now, was this a 5D chess move? I don't know. Was she being a total jerk on purpose? I don't know. I don't know. This is interesting times. It really is. So yeah, I have to say, wait a second. This is food for thought, and a lot of thought. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you because there are a lot of people out there that are, of course, like I said, furious about Pam Bondi's behavior in that hearing. But on the other hand, if what Mr. Poole just posted here, if this is true, if it was a setup, so members of Congress would run and to get onto these computers and have to log in and start frantically searching through these extra 3 million or so pages to see if maybe they would be exposed, well, then maybe they exposed themselves by doing those searches. So this is, like I said, this is really interesting stuff, I have to say. And so given this information, I'm curious to find out if there's any listeners out there that think that there might be some validity to this particular take that Mr. Poole had posted. So, I mean, it got me thinking about it. Yeah, because I was right on board. You heard me yesterday's program. And I was on the air when Pam Bondi was testifying on Wednesday, so I couldn't really pay attention to what was going on as it was happening. But on yesterday's program, I was just as PO'd as everybody else was about Pam Bondi. But you know what? If what Mr. Poole just shared, if that is what was the angle, if that was the direction, if that was the whole purpose of her testifying the way she did, well, then this could be an absolutely brilliant move. So the next question is, okay, let's say she does come up with a whole bunch of names of members of Congress who were doing some searching and trying to CYA. Okay, what will happen because of this? Now, that's the big question. Now, a lot of people out there are absolutely furious because this crap with the sex trafficking and the sacrifices and the bloodletting and the murder, and the rape, all of that stuff, that's been going on for a long time, and yes, for several different administrations. And I suggest it goes on. People say, oh, this went on under Biden. It went on, under Obama. It went on under Bush. I contend it goes back before Bush to Clinton and before Clinton to Bush Sr. I mean, this goes on for decades and decades and decades and centuries and millennia. But anyway, I digress. The point is that, as your regular listeners know, I've been aware of this crap since the late 90s, early 2000s. And because of my many conversations with Ted Gunderson in those days, I mean, that was one of the reasons why my head just exploded. And there are people's heads exploding all over the world. People on posting, and they're crying. They're so upset. Marjorie Taylor Greene was referring to this. Excuse me. And she was on an interview with Tammy Lauren, I think it was. Tommy Lauren. Yeah. Anyway, so Marjorie Taylor Greene had this to say in regard to the this whole reaction that people are having all over the world with the release of these files.
I'm sure you're not happy with the full transparency that we were maybe promised, but as we sit here today, do you feel like the American people are getting at least a little bit more of what they've been demanding?
No, I think the American people are extremely unsatisfied. I've been seeing it all over social media, as well as talking to people that I know in Georgia. This has been probably one of the biggest issues I've seen in my time in politics. People are outraged. They're outraged to the point where they're emotionally upset. I've seen videos of women crying, saying that they can't clean their house, they can't cook, they're having a hard time functioning. I saw men making videos talking about people need to be strung up on gallows. I mean, there is intense emotional feelings and anger, and people have completely lost hope and trust in our government.
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there. And she's absolutely right. I've seen a lot of posts out there of people who are absolutely infuriated with the simple fact that this has been going on for years and years and years and years. And if you recall, when Ben Swann did his expose about Pizzagate, and that was, 10 years ago when he was still an anchor person at the Atlanta CBS station. And when he did this expose about Pizzagate, he was summarily run out of town on a rail. He was fired. It destroyed his career. And now, a decade down the road, everybody's saying, oh gosh, I guess he was right. And so were all the other tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists screaming about this. So my question is to all of you who were condemning the folks that were trying to get this information out. Do you understand that 10 years has gone by and you were condemning these people? Now we have to ask the question, how many souls have been affected in the past 10 years because we turned and looked the other way? Because we were told that this was all conspiracy theory. This was crazy left-wing, right-wing, radical tinfoil hat, crazy stuff. So the fact is that we turned and looked the other way, and as a result, I have no doubt whatsoever that not just thousands, not just tens of thousands, not just hundreds of thousands, but millions of children have suffered the consequences because America and the rest of the world turned and looked the other way, refused to believe it. Yeah, silence is consent.
And rightfully so. It has been decades where we've watched administration after administration do nothing and hold no one accountable for this. And then it was such a fight to the point it was what pushed me out of politics to get these files released, and they're still being slow-walked. There's millions of more files to be released, and needs to come out.
So why?
Yes, it does need to come out. And, you know, there are groups out there that are trying to normalize this type of behavior. Yeah, it's okay to be a pedophile. Yeah, it's okay to love little children. Okay, as a matter of fact, let me see. There was a clip here. I forget where this talk was.
Most of us
Listen to this.
feel discomfort when we think about pedophiles. But just like pedophiles, we are not responsible for our feelings.
Oh, no?
We do not choose them.
Yes, you do.
But we are responsible for our actions. And we must make a decision. It is in our responsibility to reflect and to overcome our negative feelings about pedophiles and to treat them with the same respect we treat other people with. We should accept that pedophiles are people who have not chosen their sexuality and who, unlike most of us, will never be able to live it out freely if they want to lead an upright life. We should accept that pedophilia is a sexual preference.
Oh, really? Oh, really? And that was the Atlas Society. I don't know who this woman was speaking, but I mean, that got their heads screwed on all bass backwards. There's something very dark, very sick about that. Okay. So I'm still hung up on the Mr. Poole post here. Was this a 5D chess move by Pam Bondi to get members of Congress to basically expose themselves? I don't know, but it sure as heck makes sense. So anyway, a quick break.
Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties, results vary.
Okay, yes, and you can get more, and you can get more tank. Good timing, Cynthia. You can get more tank by visiting our website, the WTFReports.com. Click on the sponsors page, and it'll tell you all about Get More Tank. The specifications, the details, how and why this fuel catalyst is a good thing for your vehicle. You will find you have a cleaner engine. You find you have more power. You'll find that you have an increased mileage anywhere between 15 and 20%, depending upon your make, model, year of vehicle, and your driving habits. So this is a no-brainer, folks. If you haven't tried Get More Tank, I don't know what you're waiting for. This stuff is good stuff. It works, and you will thank me for it. So go to our website, TheWTFReports.com, click on the sponsor page, and get more tank. Okay, 30 minutes past the hour, whatever hour you're sitting in, and yeah, well, I got a phone call, and I recognize that number. That's Cynthia. Hello, Cynthia. Are you going to grab the steering wheel and take us off topic, or are you going to jump on board with what your take is on Pam Bondi's testimony the other day?
I'm riffing off your recording of someone trying to defend pedophilia.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
I've been talking about the evidence that there is a toxic exposure. And one of the important things I don't think I've mentioned before is that that these children could be spotted in fairly early childhood and potentially treated to reverse what very well may be a stem cell issue. We know that the pedophilia, the men, their brains are different.
Mm-hmm.
The difference very well may be a failure of normal development. And years ago, DMSO was examined for its effect on children with trisomy 21, with Down syndrome.
Okay.
Their brains, they became smarter, and their facial characteristics began normalizing. So that is one very safe chemical that is actually found in nature, but is currently manufactured from natural products, that could be tried once you identify the children with these minor physical anomalies.
Mm-hmm.
And so sooner you spot a child who very well may have the stigmata of toxic exposures early in infants, in embryonic stage, the easier it will be for the epidemiologist to figure out what chemicals are doing this. And remember that they're fogging. They're doing chemical smogs in areas that do not have smog. But I'm hearing reports from like Washington State of chemical nasty fog. One happened here in the Bay Area to a friend of mine who was stranded on the Golden Gate Bridge with a nasty smelling fog. And so they may be intentionally trying to damage the children in utero.
Well, not only that, but that fog has been spotted down all the way down in Florida. People all over the country are experiencing that. And yes, there are some very serious questions about what kind of bugaboos are in that fog. Now, it could be conspiracy theory, but then again, remember, all of us that were screaming about chemtrails 20 and 30 years ago, we were all tinfoil hat, wacko conspiracy theorists. And now we know, our concerns were very real. They've been spraying us like bugs for decades. And now it's all coming out. So you're right. And then the other question is that, like you said, DMSO may be able to reverse some of these problems. Well, let's eliminate the source of the problem to begin with. And I screamed about this 30 years ago, about atrazine, about bisphenol A, about prions, all these environmental things that are in our food, in our plastics. And this is proven to disrupt hormonal balance. And yes, Alex Jones was right. They're turning the frogs gay. Well, guess what? Maybe they've been turning the whole human population here in the United States into sexual deviants because of the fact that they were exposed to all these horrible chemicals in their early development. So, I think you're hitting the nail on the head. I'd like to know how DMSO could solve that problem.
Believed to affect the stem cells, but there are thousands of research papers on DMSO from all over the planet, but I don't think they're easily accessible from here in the United States.
No, I think you're right, because a lot of the treatments that work and a lot of cures that work have been suppressed. And I find it really interesting ever since these Epstein files got released and some of the revelations about these vaccines, and now the CDC has to admit that they don't have any studies whatsoever to disprove that the vaccines cause autism. And now all of a sudden, while everybody's screaming about the Epstein files and all this stuff, all over the world, all of a sudden we've got cures for cancer, we got cures for leukemia. They're putting out all this information. Oh, yes, ivermectin actually works. Oh, yes, fenbendazole actually does help with cancer and eliminate parasites. Oh, yes, hydroxychloroquine actually does work. So the floodgates are open. So I don't know. Maybe we're dealing with one distraction after another to keep us, unbalanced or off balance, I should say. I don't know. Maybe we are unbalanced. Maybe you are.
So much money is plowed into paying for health insurance and paying for pharmaceuticals. And that probably your best approach to this is to look closely at who controls your medical licensing board. Mm-hmm. Who are they? They get selected. Who do they have financial conflicts of interest with? And I think I should end it with that.
And I think that if we take a look at that, go up the proverbial food chain and see which ethnic group might be influential in those decision-making policies, the movers, the shakers, the policymakers. So, okay, I can't say it. I mean, I shouldn't say it. I could say it, but I won't say it. You regular listeners know what I'm talking about. So, anyway, hey, Cynthia, you have a very safe Friday the 13th and have a lovely weekend, okay?
Friday the 13th, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye-bye. All right. Now, let's see. I'm going to go back and revisit a story that I covered several months ago, and it was a television report. They were doing testing on some of the meat that is being served in restaurants and stuff that we buy in the stores. And this is a little disturbing, but listen to this.
People who eat hot dogs eat them because they taste so good. But what's in them is not so good. You know, we've learned to accept it, but I don't know if you'll feel so accepting after this. The company Clear Foods recently analyzed 345 hot dog and sausage products from 75 brands and retailers and found, are you hot dog lovers ready for this? Human DNA in 2% of the samples and in 2/3 of the vegetarian samples. And get this, 10% of all vegetarian products appear to contain meat. Clear Foods says that there are some companies producing high-quality hot dog, top scores to Butterball, McCormick, Eckrich, and Hebrew National. Human DNA.
Wow. Is that some scary stuff or what? Yeah. Okay. Well, that's not the only report. Not the only one. There's another report that came out, and it is as follows. Listen to this.
Bodies and body parts, a trial set to begin in just months. And tonight, new grisly details of what the FBI says really happened.
ABC 15's Nicole Valdez is live. And Nicole, this paints a Frankenstein-like picture.
Okay, I'm going to pause it for a second. This is out of Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah, this is a mainstream television network affiliate carrying this story.
Yeah, it really does. Katie and Steve, closed for years. This building off 24th Street and University doesn't look like much, but according to new claims in these court documents, the Biological Resource Center was essentially running a chop shop for human body parts, mixing, matching, and selling them in ways we'd never heard of until tonight.
Wow.
Described as unsettling, but it sounds a whole lot worse. One FBI agent revealing what it was really like inside the Phoenix body donation facility. In 2014, he saw everything from buckets of heads, arms, and legs to coolers filled with severed penises when the FBI raided the building.
Confused and angry. We thought this was going to be doing some good.
He even spotted a smaller head sewn onto a larger torso in a, quote, Frankenstein manner.
It wasn't a choice we made. It wasn't a choice any of the families made.
Body parts piled on top of each other inside Biological Resource Center, where families donated their loved ones for medical research.
Discoveries of sickness and disease, maybe come up with a cure.
Some say the company violated everything they promised.
Tragedy that's never resolved, and it just keeps going on and deeper and deeper.
The limbs, according to that agent, with no apparent identification. The company sued months after the FBI raided families claiming their loved ones weren't treated with dignity and respect, a promise written on their own consent forms. The company also accused of selling body parts for profit after saying they'd only use the parts they needed and would cremate the ones they didn't and return them. A torso with a head apparently went for $2,400. A leg about $1,100. They'd even sell knees and feet alone for under $500.
Now, the owner of the bio...
Okay, that's enough of that. Okay, you get the general idea, I'm sure. Now, this isn't the only report. Now, we've already heard 2 reports now of this issue about human DNA being found in the meat supply. And now, basically, it's a human chop shop that you just heard about. Now, this is some really disgusting, scary stuff. But there's another side to that story. Okay, here's a woman, she calls herself Autumn, and she posted the following on social media, on X, and she brings up a couple of interesting points.
We need to talk about McDonald's. Do you know who Ray Kroc is? He's the CEO, or was. He's the guy that bought the McDonald's franchise from the original McDonald's, husband and wife that owned it, and I'm going to show you his picture. Ray is the older gentleman on the right, flashing the devil sign. So Ray was a 33rd degree Mason, first of all. That should tell you something. So McDonald's serves 69 million people a day. 69 million. Do you think there are that many cows for their burgers?
Ooh.
What do you think's going on? Since 2016, they have done DNA testing worldwide on McDonald's burgers, and they have found human DNA, teeth, hair, etc.
Okay, I'm going to pause it for a second. Now, there's another side to this. Think about your local cemetery. Think about how many people die every day. And think about how many funerals that you would, expect afterwards. How many people would be buried? Wouldn't you think that you'd see activity at these cemeteries going on every day? Well, Dave, some people would have their loved ones' remains cremated. Well, you just heard about some of the cremating practices. So, again, we have to think outside of the cage. Is this something for consideration? I'll let this woman continue.
In the U.S. alone, they consume 78 million pounds of beef a day. 78 million pounds. That is 150,000 cows being slaughtered per day. Do you think that there are that many cows in the United States? 150,000 per day? The math is not adding, guys. The math is not mathing. Something's going on. Where do you think they're getting the extra meat? Where do you think? I'm going to say 2 words. This should answer it. Research Rabbi Finkelstein. He said it. He said it. Research it. Google it.
Well, yeah. Research it. Google it. Keep that in mind. All right? Because we're going to get to that momentarily here. In the meantime, she's not the only one that's talking about this. Let me see. I know this woman. What's her name? Meryl something. Not Meryl Streep. No, I can't remember her name. Is Meryl? It's on the tip of my tongue. Well, anyway, she posted the following.
The system is run through China, Israel, Ukraine, and us now. We didn't used to be as big a part, I think. But anyway, it's like you harvest the organs, and then you got to get rid of the rest. And that's what I think they are doing. It really is a Soylent Green in a different form. And anybody thinks this is just made up. We have videos, for example, in Ukraine of they call them the Chorny Transplantologia. I can barely say that. I don't speak Russian. I just read it. But anyway, it's the black transplantologists. And they stumbled onto these things. I know Putin knows about this. The Russian army knows about this. They underground harvesting areas. So young Ukrainian soldier is not quite dead yet, but they don't think he's going to survive. Boom, 2 kidneys, 2 lungs, a heart, a liver, and the rest goes into the food supply. That part I can't prove, but I'm going to tell you about I can prove about the kidneys and stuff like that. So you've got, he's worth almost $1 million, by the time, and you sell it, you're going to get more than $1 million for that, because that price gets way bumped.
Absolutely. Now, again, I don't like covering this, but we need to know. We need to understand that. And, you just heard the reference to Rabbi Finkelstein. Rabbi Abe Finkelstein was interviewed by James Wickstrom about, it was a little over 20 years ago. It was a telephone interview. Now, if you do a search on the web, of course, Snopes and several other search people out there will say, it's fake. It never happened. It's a phony. It's a conspiracy. Okay, well, I don't believe that, because I heard this interview years ago. Now, again, James Wickstrom was, known to be what they called him a white supremacist and an anti-Semite and a Jew hater, etc., etc. Well, James Wickstrom was interviewing Rabbi Abraham Finkelstein, and in regard to the horrific stuff that you just heard about these chop shops and about McDonald's and about how many cows they would require every single day for the demand for their hamburgers all over the world. Where would these cows be slaughtered? I would think that the slaughterhouse there would have to be multiple slaughterhouses. Okay? Anyway, going back in time, 20 odd years ago, in regard to this thing about food, Here's what Rabbi Finkelstein had to say.
I know you've known because I've heard it on your show before. I mean, we steal 100 to 300,000 children a year just here in this country, and we drain their blood and we mix it with a Passover bread, and then we throw the bodies into the slaughterhouses that we own, and we grind up all the bodies in the sausage and the hamburger. McDonald's is one of our favorite outlets, and the people, they eat it for breakfast, they eat it, their children for lunch, and us Jews, we got to do what we do. The most important thing to remember between you, Pastor Wickstrom, and me, Rabbi A.B. Finkelstein of New York, that we both have two fathers, and so that's why we look at the world in two different ways.
And we know that there's a massive collision that's going to take place between two forces, don't we?
Well, that's what your book says. Our book says that we're going to take over the world.
Well, I look at you...
You're doing a pretty good job right now.
Yes, you've done a pretty good job, but there's quite an awakening coming. And my father, who's not your father, my father Yahweh, who isn't your father, of course, your father is talked about by my father in John 8:44, stating that your father was Satan and that you're the descendant of Cain, who was the first murderer. And you know that's true because you teach it in your synagogue.
Well, that's true, but it's not for you Goyim to know. But right now it's too late. It's over for you white race. So that's why I'm speaking so honestly here, to bring it out into the open so that you can see it for what it is. You've been teaching the people real good, but they don't wake up, do they? You don't get a lot of followers, do they? Because you know why? They're scared of us Jews, because they don't want to be called anti-Semites, and they believe that we're the chosen people, and so that's why we can do whatever we want to do, and we can get away with it because the white men are cowards, and we go to the synagogue all the time and have some Manischewitz and dance the Hava Nagila.
My goodness, that's pretty sick stuff. That is pretty sick stuff. And again, there are folks that are saying that this recording is a hoax, it never happened, etc., etc. However, given the references that we have here that we've just talked about human bodies being, shall we say, sold off for parts, okay? Used parts store, and whatever they don't need, they got to do something with the rest of the tissue, shall we say. It's not outside the realm of possibilities that this would happen. And if you don't believe it, well, then let's take a look at those Epstein files, and you give me some good excuse why somebody would participate in this type of an activity. So if they're willing to torture children, beat children, rape children, kill children, take their blood, eat fetuses, I mean, this is all in the Epstein files. So if you're going to deny that could happen, why should I believe denial when they're talking about taking these bodies and putting them into the food supply? Again, this is not me saying it. I'll probably get a mark against my account. I've gotten marks against my account because of some of the audio clips that I play that they don't like. They say, oh, well, Dave, you put out some hate speech. Well, you know what? I'm just putting out the audio clips. I didn't say it. These are the other people saying it. These are the audio receipts. If you don't like the audio receipts, well, then that's that's on you. I didn't say it. I didn't make this stuff up. And yeah, it's pretty sick stuff. There ain't no about to doubt it. So so I can't help but fall back on that and say, look at, what is it they say? Oh yeah, I heard an interesting saying. They say an anti-Semite used to mean someone who hates Jews. But now, anti-Semite means anyone that the Jews hate. And that seems to be true. I'll tell you what, this whole debate about anti-Semitism versus Judaism, this is reaching a boiling point. And you regular listeners know that I've been talking about this for the past couple of years. Ever since the October 7th Hannibal directive action. And yeah, they're still following back on that. I mean, they're like mantras, Holocaust, 6 million. Israel has a right to defend itself. October 7th, 6 million. Holocaust, right to defend ourselves, 6 million. October 7th, Holocaust, over and over and over again. Well, I can't help but think of the old saying, a lie told often enough becomes the truth. And sadly, I'm very disappointed. In my circle, in my community here, there are some people who are paying attention. There are some people that you can actually discuss these horrific issues with and having an intelligent conversation and an exchange of ideas. But unfortunately, the overwhelming majority of people, and I'm sure it's true in your circle as well, whether you be in the work environment or your social environment or your family environment, there are certain people that you just can't even bring these topics up. You can't talk about this. It would be like you're speaking an entirely foreign tongue, a different language. And in a sense, you are. Because those of us who have been, paying attention, who have our eyes open, who have been, searching for the truth, it's like you're on a totally different frequency, if you know what I mean. For instance, if you know somebody who's very, shall we say, a very deep person, they like to talk about, religion and politics and science and stuff like that. Well, then when you sit down and you get very intelligent as well, okay? And then on the other hand, this other guy, Joe, who just finished watching the WEF, yo, Dave, how you doing? What's going on, man? And then all of a sudden your frequency changes and say, hey, Joe, what's up? How you been, man? Okay, yeah. So your attitude and your interaction with other people changes depending upon who you're talking to. That's what I call frequency, okay? So, some people have the ability to tune into other people's frequencies. Luckily, I think that I have that ability. I can talk to, on a spiritual level with some people. I can talk about musical and entertainment with other people. I'll talk about, day-to-day living and sports with other people. It depends on who you're talking to. And when you're talking to them, you want to, as they say, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. How was that? What's it? I forget. Yeah, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Something like that. But but some people don't have that flexibility, so they more or less gravitate to people who are on their same frequency. And when it comes to truth-seeking, when it comes to becoming aware of what's going on, when it comes to, quote-unquote, the shift or the noticing or the awakening, there are some people who will just never wake up. Like I said, when you start talking about anything important, they subscribe to the old philosophy, polite conversation should never include politics or religion. So most people that subscribe to that don't talk about religion or politics. And with that, I ask the question, what makes the world go round? How do we progress, as a society? If we don't talk about the important things, and the important things are politics and spirituality, well, then we're sort of guaranteeing our stagnation, aren't we? If it's impolite or improper or rude to bring up some of these topics that make some people uncomfortable, well, I understand why they don't want to talk about it. I understand why they are uncomfortable, because they're not accustomed to talking about this stuff. So, I understand that. But this is why I'm saying, some of us have the ability to go into different social circles and communicate on different levels depending upon what that social circle revolves around. So am I getting too deep on you here? Anyway, enough of that. There's a quick clip here from Ron Paul. I'll tell you, Ron Paul was so on it. Oh, he was so ahead of his time. And I was honored to meet Ron Paul and his wife back in the, I guess it was right around the, 98 or 2000. Yeah, when I was down in Texas, there was a fundraiser going on, and Joyce and I went to this fundraiser, and Ron Paul and his wife were there. I remember specifically because there were 3 girls that were performing, the Quebe sisters. Look them up, the Quebe sisters, rather. And at that time, they were like, 13, 14, 15 years old, and they were doing Texas swing, and they were fantastic. And since that time, they've grown up, and the trio, they're still together. Now you've got 3 Beautiful women harmonizing and doing some great music. Anyway, I digress. The point is that, I got a chance to meet Ron Paul. And then again, several years later, he and his wife, and then Joyce and I, we went to a tax conference down in Cancun. And a lot of the topics that we talk about the IRS were discussed down there. But anyway, again, I digress. Ron Paul was asked basically when we lost our country. And here's what he had to say.
There's been a coup. We don't have any resemblance to a government that believes in a republic. We don't have honest money. We don't have integrity. We don't even have people in Washington that even pretends, that you're supposed to tell the truth. But I do believe there has been a coup and it's been taken over. And if I want to just put the date in my mind. And anybody could pick probably any date in the last 100 years. But I have picked November 22nd, 1963.
What happened on that day?
That was the day Kennedy was murdered by our government.
Wow.
By the CIA.
Wow. He put it right out there. He absolutely did. And I would agree 100% with him. And as a matter of fact, that's interesting because Ricardo Bossi from Australia and many others have talked about this exact date, is that when they took JFK out. I mean, that was basically when the final nail in the coffin was made and the corporate Borg was able to completely take over. Now, again, keep in mind that JFK, number one, he wanted to splinter the CIA into 1,000 pieces and cast them to the wind. And that's his quote. Number two, his executive order to issue United States notes, I believe it was for $450 million, which he did. And there are still, people out there collecting that have some of these United States notes. It doesn't say United States, Federal Reserve. So the point is that, number one, he wanted to splinter the CIA. Number two, he was going after the Federal Reserve and wanted to bankrupt them. Number three, he was demanding that the nuclear facilities being developed in Israel be inspected. They didn't want that happening. Number four, he wanted the Israeli lobby to register under FARA, the Foreign Agency Registry Administration, whatever it is, FARA. But so there are four different things right there that gave some people the motive, shall we say, to take JFK out. And again, when you look at any one of those, let me see the Federal Reserve. Now, who controls the Federal Reserve? Okay, number two, the CIA. The CIA has been in league with the Mossad ever since 1948. Again, we got to go upstream on this, And let me see. So there's the Federal Reserve, the CIA. And then there was the desire for having the nuclear facilities in Israel inspected. And then it was also to have Israel register with FARA. So, which group would have the most motive to take out JFK? Yep. It's not hard to figure out. Just connect the dots. And I've been saying that, for the past God knows how long. Anyway. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today. I got a couple of other things, but I just don't have the time to get to them today. So, as we say, as we approach the weekend here on this Friday the 13th, oh boy, I certainly hope that you all have good luck on this day and have a safe weekend and have a profitable weekend and have a healthy weekend, etc., etc. And in the meantime, keep your head screwed on pretty tight, folks. Remember that fear is the opposite of love. Do not fear. No. Okay? All right, that said, that's going to wrap it up for today's installment of the WTF Reports. If you're listening on one of the platforms, click like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends. Word of mouth is the best advertising. And especially, you could do some business with our advertisers or maybe pick up some merch. Get a baseball cap or a T-shirt or a coffee mug or something like that. Maybe the T-shirt that says bribery, coercion, blackmail. Yeah, so help us keep the lights on. All right, that said, folks, I'm out of here. You have a great weekend. God bless you all. Stay safe, stay free, and I will see you on Monday.